Hey, folks, my guest today is Ekke Ustalo. He's the co-founder of PlanYard with background in B2B software and cybersecurity, now tackling profitability and forecasting in larger construction companies to make sure they don't go out of business due to insufficient visibility. Follow along at planyard.com. Ekke, you ready to take us to the top?
Yes, let's go.
All right. Now, did you come from construction or did you come from finance?
Um, my background is IT, so software engineering and cybersecurity. But basically, we had friends and acquaintances who are in the construction industry, and the pain that we got with our whole team, like from our acquaintances, the pain that we felt in the industry, we just decided to tackle the problem.
Interesting. So tell me sort of about a customer that's sort of paying you today and what they get when they pay you.
Mm-hmm. So in let's say main contractors or general contractors, usually they have the biggest problems because their projects are the biggest. They often work on projects that takes years to complete. That's many millions, often hundreds of millions, right? And they really just don't have any idea what's happening on their project, right? And there are, of course, software solutions out there, but some of them are so complicated that they are not used in the end, and then the companies end up using Excel, right? So basically, to know whether they are profitable or not, they just do a lot of complicated Excel sheets, make mistakes there, and in the end, many companies go bankrupt because of this.
And so what are these general contractors paying you on average per month to use your technology?
It really varies, right? So it goes to up to tens of thousands, and some of the customers even we think will go to hundreds of thousands. So it depends really on the company profile and their revenue and so.
You said, sorry, 10 to sort of maybe 10K per year up to, a couple 100,000 per year?
Yeah, depending on the company size, yeah.
I see. And what do you mean by company size? So someone paying you a lot of money, they have more projects, more headcount. Like what's the value metric?
So usually it really depends. The companies are run very differently, right? So some of them have their own forces, some of them have a lot of employees, but some of them just have huge projects, right? So they're building, I don't know, shopping centers worth of hundreds of billions. So it's really, we as a startup always, pricing is very difficult. So it's a combination of all of these things, basically.
Okay, but I imagine when you get in a negotiation with a large general contractor, they say, "What's your pricing?" You can't sort of say like, "We want to figure out what to price against so that we can make the most amount of money," right? What's like your standard? Is it number of square feet they're constructing in a project? Is it the project value? Is it number of their full-time employees? Is it timeline to complete? What's the
So let's say the biggest one is really the revenue or the volume of the project, and then maybe the headcount as well, right? How big the team is who comes on board.
I see. So it's sort of based off the shopping mall is going to be expensive to build. It's based off the price to construct whatever the project is. The bigger the price, the more they pay you.
Exactly, and the more projects, the more also.
I see. Interesting. Okay, very cool. And I guess again, 10K to 300K per year is a massive range. I understand you have people on both sides, but what would you say your sweet spot is? Is it like 100K per year?
To be honest, with these bigger companies, there's a lot of work. So actually, the sweet spot is the lower end because oftentimes then we can really implement the customers very quickly, right? The very big tickets are a lot of work. So that's actually not the sweet spot. So somewhere in the lower medium end rather.
So most customers, most customers paying $20,000-$30,000 a year, then something like that. Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time, you can see what it changed over the past 88 days, and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your FounderPath dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right. So the teal is what a VC would pay. Yellow is what private equity. And red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise. They sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of FounderPath, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. Okay, give us the backstory here. What year did you launch the company?
I think when we fully launched, 2018 or so, I would say at some point then.
When did you write the first line of code though?
Yeah, maybe like the first MVP, 2017, we did some experiments, right? Some very basic, I think Google Sheets or like Google presentation mockups with the customers. But yeah, somewhere around there. So 2017, 2018.
That's awesome. And then how long did it take you to get your first customer?
We had actually, so we don't do very extensive contracts with our customers. So we try to keep the legal part simple. But we had basically one of the first leads we had was already before we started doing anything. So we never went into a full-on agreement with them, like a full-on, like they're our customer, but we never made a contract with them in advance, but they were willing to pay before we did anything, right? So that shows also how big the problem is. So we can say 2017, basically 2018 from the beginning.
That's awesome. That's great. So then, I mean, were you able to use their money then to continue growing the business? Are you able to bootstrap or do you have to raise capital?
We are bootstrapped. I mean, yeah, we used the money for various. We had more kind of employees and interns working at some point in the beginning, which we used the money for, because all of the founders basically had like side jobs. Since we're bootstrapped, we needed to do something on the side, so we used money for that. But yeah, I would say the customer, the revenues have made it possible to bootstrap.
So that was your first customer, 2017. How many customers are you working with now today?
I think it's around 40 customers, 40, 50 customers, something in that range.
Okay, cool. And then you mentioned early interns and obviously growing the team, trying to be capital efficient. How many folks are on the team full-time today?
Mm-hmm. So it's a complex topic. So we're now actually only 3 people again. So we didn't raise money. We're in the process of probably raising money soon. We are three co-founders, and we have kind of 3, let's say, I don't know how to give a title, like consultants / advisors also on board who work with us.
Okay.
So many of the people who started with us, it was a long process with bootstrapping. So many of them got very good offers in like kind of, let's say, the big equivalent to the big 3 or whatever startups. Or not startups, but the big tech companies. And I understand their decision to go from a slow growing startup to a big tech company.
Do you and your 3 co-founders, do you own the equal amounts of equity? It's 33, 33, 33?
It's pretty close to that. There's a slight deviance, but it's basically that.
I see. And you guys are all full-time, right? Or are you doing side gigs?
Exactly.
Okay.
Full-time.
Okay. So can we take 45 customers, paying on average $20,000 per year? That would put your monthly recurring revenue at like $80,000, $90,000 a month, or about $1 million run rate.
That is, let's say, that is the ideal case. Our pricing, we're really in the process of figuring out the pricing. So construction is kind of a periodical business, and we have been experimenting with kind of project-based pricing, right? So they bring on one of the projects that they start on the platform, but not the past ongoing ones. So many of the customers are in the process of, let's say, upgrading, right? So they're not, that the potential revenue is the number I told you, But like at the moment, they have a lower number because they just have 1 or 2 or 3 projects on.
Okay. So what are you guys doing more like, 10, 20, 30,000 a month in revenue?
Exactly. Between 10 and 20. Yeah.
10 and 20. Okay. That's still nice traction for a 3-person team. When you look back in last year in 2021, it sounds like you have maybe recurring revenues, but you also have like project-based stuff as well. If you add up your total revenue from last year, what'd you get above? What'd you beat?
Good question. I think it's under 200K.
Okay.
But around that. But I mean, it's growing all the time, and between the, I mean, since it's smaller numbers, it's easy to double or triple them every year, but up until some point. But yeah, something in that range.
That's great. And so if you were doing sort of, 200,000-ish in 2021, do you remember what you guys did in your first year of business back in 2018?
Yeah, very little, because the process, we didn't nail the biggest pain point, I think, right away. So it took us a lot of time to kind of prototype and to test stuff. So I think it's really in the range of maybe 10K, 20K, something in that range, really.
But that must have felt really good, right? Your first thing, getting your first 20K of revenue.
For sure, yeah. I mean, we have a very international client base, so every kind of new continent or country we achieve, I think those are even more somehow fulfilling than maybe the first customer, almost, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm. Now, you sort of hinted at you might be considering a raise right now. Why would you do that when you've bootstrapped so far and had some success?
It's slower, right? We are not at the point to hire people. We have a lot of problems the customers are having. We have like mock-ups of validated solutions. We have we in most cases we know where to go, but it's just we cannot do it with the 3 of us, right? It's just too slow.
Yep. No, understood. Makes a lot of sense. So if you did go out and raise capital, how much would you try and target?
I think around $1 million or so. But also we want to keep the percentage low that we give away, but we'll see with the first round how realistic it is.
What do you want to keep it under in terms of how much you have to sell?
I mean, as little as possible. So under 10%, 50% would be ideal, but I don't think it's realistic. So we'll have to see how it is.
Yeah, it's tough right now to raise capital. Obviously, really tough environment. So where are you based?
So we are. I'm living in Switzerland, but all of the team is from Estonia, so it's very close to a very, very, very good neighbor. So it's a bit tricky now with the discussions that we've had.
We should celebrate, obviously, you getting past $250,000 in revenue. That's not an easy thing to do. So we're certainly rooting for you. But in the meantime, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite business book.
Predictable Revenue.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Yes. There's one guy. He's doing like a payment thing on LinkedIn. He has very, let's say, is in America. He's a very socialist. I don't remember his name.
I think you're thinking about Gravity Payments, founder with the long hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Number 3.
Sorry.
What's your favorite online tool for building PlanYard?
I mean, for engineering side, it's Google Cloud, but let's say Google presentation tool to make very simple mockups.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
As much as possible, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, good. And situation, married, single, kids?
Between single and married, let's say.
Okay, not married. Okay, no kids.
Not married, yeah. No kids.
Okay, and how old are you?
30.
All right. Okay, last question here. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
Always ask questions.
Guys, there you have it. PlanYard.com launched because he had friends that were having issues forecasting their construction projects. Launched in first code in 2017. First customer right when they started. Basically, they had a customer pre-launch. They passed call it $20,000 of revenue in 2018. They did around 200,000 last year. Now doing about between $10,000 and $20,000 a month in revenue with a team of 3. So pretty darn capital efficient. Bootstrapped today serving 45 customers. Those customers are usually general contractors that use PlanYard to plan their construction projects. Looking potentially right now at raising some capital, would like to sell something between 10 and 15% of the business for around $1 million. We'll see what he decides. But Ekke, in the meantime, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.